My Lords, I rise to support with all the energy I can Lord Clement Jones's bill. I'm aware how important it is, and I declare an interest. I was for 8 years the chair of the National Campaign for the Arts. As such, I thought of addressing you with a poem. We are the music makers, and we are the dreamer of dreams, wandering by lone sea breakers and sitting by desolate streams, world losers and world forsakers, on whom the pale moon gleams. Yet we are the movers and shakers of the world forever, it seems. The government of this country are the movers and shakers, and we here are movers and shakers ourselves, who have a duty to the music makers of this country. The National Campaign for the Arts was inundated from the very moment this bill, the original bill, the 2003 Act, went into operation. We have hundreds of members, and they all, in small groups, seek to find a voice through the National Campaign for the Arts to speak for their interests. It quickly became clear that the bill was not working. So if I can address it from, as other speakers have already, from 3 points of view: from the musician's point of view, from the audience point of view, and from the venue's point of view. The musicians in this country have the benefit of an outstanding musical education if they go to college, and if they get together in small groups, they're often better. My noble Lord Grade has already spoken of the emerging music of the 1960s. When the Beatles came to public knowledge, they had already been part of a group of musicians in Liverpool at a time from the 1960 onwards to 62, when there were 300 groups in that city alone. How could they have survived under this law? They met in small places, to friends, family. They were in cellars and attics, everywhere you could go. Young people in Liverpool were completely moved and inspired by a tidal wave of what you can only call musical inspiration. We mustn't let that kind of inspiration be stifled by the amazingly bureaucratic nightmare of this Act. Young people need to appear together in small places where they can be appreciated by their peers, where they can be reviewed, where they can meet each other, where they can talk and compare instruments, music, opportunities. The musicians need our help. Audiences need our help. We live in a world where music is absolutely intrinsic to our lives, in every nook and cranny of it, but too often it's coming from iPods, and it's not a real live activity. Anything that can move the enjoyment of music to a live event with a space between the music and the audience seems to me invaluable, because that exchange between the performer and the audience is about more than the music, as the poem suggests. It's about a whole relationship of creativity, which was demonstrated so well in Liverpool. So audiences, small audiences, need to go to small venues. Young people are often in awe of the larger music venues, not to mention the cost of going and the distance of going. But small venues that are local, that are familiar and that are congenial, are an enormously important element in inspiring music making and music appreciation. And rites of passage too, birthdays, celebrations of all kinds, are often occasions where small musical groups, informal, friends, whatever, in venues where alcohol is consumed, seem to me not intended as an appropriate subject for the Act as it was passed in 2003. And then the venues. Well, we're all aware and saddened by the decline of the English public house. but they have suffered enormously from the smoking ban, as we know. Many feel now that small groups of music making, jazz, folk, will make a difference to their survival. The PRS for Music did research in December 2009 and found that 80% of pub managers said that music would help them survive the recession. Pubs with music are 3 times more likely to stay in business. This Licensing Act of 2003 is an act of unintentional consequences. We've already heard how the Tate was required to have a license for a Turner Prize-winning piece of sound installation. In 2009, a Northamptonshire school had to scrap a production of We Will Rock You because it was warned by the licensing officer. As a consequence, the head of the council's licensing committee resigned in protest, saying, "Soon, people applying to host wine and cheese parties in their own home and selling alcohol for a good cause will have to have licensing permission." It's not working, and it calls out for revision, and the movers and shakers, of whom I am now proud to be one, back this bill.